Hi everybody, I'm Marc Dunham, chef for the Atherton Hotel and Ranchers Club. You know, when I sit around and talk with my friends and family sometimes about cooking fish, they always seem to have the similar complaints, that the fish always sticks to the pan. They go to the store, they're super excited about fish, they bring it home, they get it in the pan, and it's a mess. So we're going to spend the next few minutes talking about how not to let your fish stick, right here on Play With Your Food. All right, everybody, so you just got back from the store and you've got this beautiful piece of fish, which I have today. This is a piece of sable fish, also called black cod. It's not a codfish at all, but that's not important. We're not going to talk about fish varieties today. What we are going to talk about is how to get this guy into a pan and onto a plate without it sticking to the pan. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started, and I'll bring up a couple of points right before we put it in the pan. You always want to make sure that you pat dry the fish. If there's any moisture on the outside, that's going to encourage some of the sticking in the pan. So we've got that patted dry, and just like with anything else, let's get a little bit of seasoning on it. And I'm just going to put salt on this piece right now because we're going to put crushed red pepper on it later after it comes out. If we put the crushed red pepper on now, it's going to burn. All right, so we've got salt. I've got a nice little cast iron skillet. We're going to talk about pans here in a second, but I've got a nice little cast iron skillet that's been getting warm. I'm going to pour in an even amount of oil into the bottom of the pan and make sure that it's coated. I'm going to give it just a few seconds to heat up to make sure it gets nice and warm, and then I'm going to put the fish, the seasoned side and also the flesh side down. So I'm going to turn up the burner just a touch here. And in goes the fish. Okay, while I'm getting the sides ready for this, and you're going to like these sides because it's based off the vinaigrette that we talked about last week and some of the vegetables. But while I do this, we're going to talk about some of the fish cookery pitfalls that get your fish to stick when you're not paying attention. Before we start that, fennel, fresh fennel that we're just going to shave. You can buy this at the store. I've seen it at local grocery stores. It's in season right now. So we're just going to shave that thin on the mandolin, just like normal. The watermelon radishes, I still have some of these from the farmer's market. Real thin slices. That goes in. We have a little bit of red onion, and again, sliced very thin. And a little bit of daikon radish. If you can't get daikon radish at the store, any kind of radish will do, and if you just want to stick to one, that's fine too. So all of these go into a mixing bowl, sliced evenly thin, and we're just going to set those aside for just a second because we'll come back and dress those. Let's address the fish. Part of what makes, or several things that make fish stick. One is if you've got frozen fish, it's not only a bad idea to use frozen fish in general because you can never tell the quality because you can't smell it, but it also makes the cell walls burst when they're frozen, when they defrost, and then you've got a lot of water content. So that's going to inhibit, or I'm sorry, that's going to actually promote sticking to the pan. Another thing that you have to consider is how hot is the pan when you put it in. You want your pan to be nice and warm. When you put your oil in, you want your oil to be nice and warm before you put your fish in. When you get your fish into a nice warm pan, nice warm oil, you don't want to stir it around and move it around. Initially, it's going to want to stick. Just leave it alone. The initial urge is to go in there and start moving around. Don't move it around. Talk about metals for the pan. If you've got a tin pan or a very inexpensive pan that you bought from the store that's aluminum or tin, that pan is going to get really hot really quickly and really cold really quickly. It's also going to burn very fast. So that's not a great pan. Cast iron's a really good pan to get a nice sear on, or a nice stainless steel. So that also helps. Now you're talking about how long do I cook the fish. It really just depends on each fish, and you're really going to have to just get fish in the pan and start cooking it. If we've got trout or any kind of really thin fish, it's obviously going to be less, maybe only a few minutes. This particular piece of fish is probably only going to cook for about 7 or 8 minutes. I'm going to let it cook most of the way, about 3/4 of the way. On the flesh side, it's going to get nice and crispy, and then I'll flip it and we'll finish it in the pan. So let's get back to the salad. The only thing that we're going to do to this salad is put a little bit of salt and a little bit of the crushed red pepper. and a tiny bit of the vinaigrette. This is a sherry vinaigrette that we made last week. This gets mixed around. And this is just a raw salad with your basic vinaigrette. And you can see how quick this is to get ready. Took all of maybe 30 seconds to slice and another 30 seconds to mix. This just sits over on the side and lets marinate for a couple of minutes while we go back over and check the fish. Now, a majority of the flesh, over half of it is already cooked. This guy's moving around pretty good. I've got almost zero sticking here, so I'm going to check the underside and just see if it's nice and golden brown or getting there. Maybe just another second. I'm going to turn the heat up. If you use a small pan like this and you've got a burner coming up, before you flip it, if you're worried about burning yourself, just turn the burner down and then get in there, and you can always turn the burner back up. All right, so I'm going to turn the burner down just a second. See, no sticking. I'm going to turn it over, turn the heat back up for a second. Some fish you can cook medium rare, some rare, like tuna you can eat rare, tuna you can eat medium rare. Some fish really has advantages to being cooked up to medium well and well, like mahi. Mahi has a real strange texture if it's cooked anything less than medium well. This particular fish will cook up to about medium to medium well, and a lot of that's just going to have to do with you practicing and taking temperatures. There's plenty of books out there that will recommend certain temperatures, 130, 135. A lot of times we just go by experience and having cooked the fish before. So this fish is pretty much where I want it. So we're just going to put the vegetables on the plate. This is really good for a quick meal at home that's super tasty. It's good for your family. And you don't have to spend much time on it at all. All right, there we go. Nice piece of freshly cooked sable fish over a salad of shaved vegetables. We're just going to garnish with a little bit of chopped celery leaves. These guys just came off the interior portion of the heart of celery, and they'll match with the flavors. And that's it. You've come home, and 10 minutes later, you've got a beautiful piece of sautéed fish that didn't stick over a nice portion of healthy, tasty vegetables from a vinaigrette that you made from scratch. What could be better? Make sure and join us next week where we talk about stop trying to impress your mother-in-law and make a delicious Thanksgiving dinner, and we'll show you how to make the steps work for you so that the day of Thanksgiving you have plenty of time to spend with your family.